Hello, guys, and welcome to a special surprise edition of the official Lost audio podcast hosted by ABC.com. I say surprise because if you're a regular listener / viewer, you'll know that we didn't expect to have an audio podcast for you all until after our upcoming episode, Ji Yun. But, the guys invited us down for lunch, and one thing, led to another, and the next thing you know, we were podcasting. So here we are with executive producers Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse to rehash The Other Woman and prehash Ji Yun, which, of course, airs this Thursday, March 13th at 9 p.m. on ABC, and is available the next day at abc.com. Also, just a quick word, one of our fan questions is spoilish about the video game Via Domos, so before that question, we'll have a little break just in case you want to, play the video game yourself. Here now are Damon and Carlton.
Howdy, Damon.
Hi there, Carlton. Wow, howdy. That's a new salutation for you.
Well, kind of wanted to bust it up here on the range today.
Hey, if you're going to wear boots with spurs on, you might as well say howdy. I was wondering why the spurs, but I decided not to ask.
We got a lot of riding to do, and we're going to have to ride the riders hard.
Wow. Already, we're just... Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
What's going on with you, Damon?
Oh, the same old, same old. We've got our heads down. We're in full-on... lean, green, story-breaking machine modality where we basically had to write 5 scripts in 6 weeks, and 2 of them are down pretty much. One of them is still having a little rewriting going on. We're almost
like a downer cattle?
That's right. We're almost done breaking the 3rd story, and we're sort of peeling into the 2-hour finale, which this year is going to air separate hours because Grey's Anatomy, they get to do a 2-hour finale, so we've got to break ours in half in order to stay on Thursdays.
Right.
But we did that with the pilot, so...
Yeah. Well, good.
It was cool to be on and see the Iron Man trailer. It was like, that's a Thursday night they put movies on.
I
It was
know.
like, that's something that you actually don't TiVo through. That was kind of kick-ass.
Right. Better than a lot of those kind of various body products that
yes, exactly.
probably shouldn't even be discussed in a podcast.
Yes, unless they want to give us corporate spot. Lady Z presents the Lost Podcast. Carlton, do you sometimes have that not-so-fresh feeling?
Right now, as a matter of fact.
Excellent. All right, well, this seems like the perfect segue to talk about The Other Woman. The episode that you guys saw last week.
Yes. So let's talk about the newest station we were introduced that we introduced this episode.
Carlton, how many times do we have to go over this?
I don't know, Chris. I just don't like the way Chris writes.
Read it first.
It's not conversational. It's written, kind of like.
Is what you're asking?
It's like those translations of things that like people do from like Belgrade.
So you're asking about the Tempest? Is that what you're trying to say?
What's up with the Tempest? Has it been any of the maps or clues we've seen the past seasons? What would be the legitimate use for this station other than killing everyone on the island?
Well, do you need another use other than that? I mean, you've got the station where you train animals, and the station where you push the button every 108 minutes, and the station where you kill everybody on the island.
What do you suppose the purpose of the Arrow station was? I mean, it was just a big cave in the side of the mountain, and there was just somebody's eye in there.
Yeah, glass eye storage.
Glass eye
I think
storage.
Maybe we'll be returning to the Arrow in a future season to be designated later. But,
definitely the zombie season.
The Tempest Station is, in fact, an important station. It is down there on Kelvin's map in the sliding blast door no longer existing in the hatch. And obviously, this was sort of our attempt to, go back and do a little island history this season. So much of the storytelling is based on these flash forwards. But since Juliet is still in play, we felt we could be answering some questions about the others in this story, personally about her, in terms of her relationship with Goodwin and Harper. We
like Goodwin.
Yeah, we like Goodwin.
Goodwin's good.
But we know that there's this station that at some point the Dharma Initiative was gassed, and we were wondering where that came from. And the idea that the Dharma Initiative was supposedly consisting of all these hippies also had a station that's primary manufacture was chemical weaponry. We thought was an interesting story point that to be set up for storytelling later.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, you could interpret that several different ways. I mean, one way might be that there were not all entirely peaceful missions that were going on in the Dharma stations. Another interpretation is that the Dharma Initiative was aware that there were hostile forces on the island and created gas to protect themselves. Those might be two viable explanations.
I should start telling my wife that the gas is to protect myself, and that will probably make things a lot easier to explain around the house.
Obviously, we can't talk about Ben without discussing the video he showed Locke.
Oh, right.
Is Charles Widmore really the
video.
person behind Not Penny's boat? Isn't that Penny's father? How can it not be her boat?
You really...
I'm gonna give these rehashes to like Eddie and Adam to rewrite before we do our next podcast.
You know those commercials they run during the NFL?
Chris is actually, now he's got a knife and he's pointing it at my neck. I'm sorry, Chris. No, this is really beautiful. Thank you.
I'm going to read it. Obviously, we can't talk about Ben without discussing the video he showed Locke. Is Charles Widmore really the person behind Not Penny's boat? Isn't that Penny's father? How can it not be your boat? I mean, I'm not having a problem reading it at all.
Well, maybe it was written for you. Maybe he just doesn't write it for me.
Maybe you should take off that eye patch and you'd be able to read a little easier. First with the spurs, then with the eye patch.
Yeah,
and, of
they
course,
all go together.
The lack of pants. Have we talked enough about the other woman?
I don't really have much else to say about it.
Well, I guess we have to answer that question.
Yeah.
Which is, we got a big reveal here. We have Ben basically saying...
Hey, it's Charles Widmore.
Charles Widmore sent the boat.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he's looking for the island. Do you believe him?
I think he does know why Charles Widmore is looking for the island.
So you're saying Ben is lying?
I think Ben is not telling the full truth.
That
would not be first time, would it?
Will we find out whether or not Ben is telling the truth by the end of this season, Carlton?
Yes.
Wow.
I think so.
Definitive answers.
Yes.
I like it.
Okay. Is this the last we've seen of Harper?
No, she's another. She's still on the island. We didn't kill her.
Who's Ben's man on the boat?
That's a good question, Carlton. You'll find out next week on...
Excellent.
Episode 407, GE On, which is going to be a great episode. We don't want to tell you too much about it, other than for those of you who feel like you haven't been seeing enough of Sun and Jin.
Would it be about Sun and Jin? Is that why it's called GE On?
GE On is that is why it is called that. It's a Sun and Jin episode, and hopefully by the end of that episode, many of your questions about the identities of the Oceanic Six will be answered.
All right, so
let's get to questions.
That's the fun part. Go first this time.
All right, Carlton. This is from Sam Fisher-Sell. It's a question of canon.
Okay.
Not the television show canon from the 70s.
A Quinn Martin production.
This is C-A-N-O-N.
Act 1.
In terms of, for those of you not familiar with the term canon, I can't imagine there are any of you who listen to a podcast who don't know what that is. But canon basically means like anything in the show that is actually of the show and we refer to as being part of the show as opposed to something that is tangential to the show. Here's the question. Recently I read on Doc Jensen's EW column some rather confusing news regarding the canon of Lost. During an interview, Damon claimed that the only true Lost canon is the show itself, while Carlton added that the Orchid video and the Mobisodes were canon, but the video game and Find A15, which was our ARG leading into the season, are not. From my understanding, something being canon means that it is a legitimate piece of the overall mythology, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's vital. I understand the reason why Find 815 isn't canon, but what are we to do with Find 815 events that cross over into the show? What about the Lost experience, or even information gleaned from the Lost jigsaw puzzles? Is all the ancillary information about the Apollo Chocolate Company, the Alvar Hanso video, or information about Magnus Hanso simply throwaway supposed information? Does this mean any revelations made during Via Damas, which is the new Lost game, such as the room behind the concrete wall, are not a true part of the overall Lost mythology? I agree that it's not fair to expect the normal viewer to seek out these auxiliary experiences, but I, along with many others, have enjoyed looking into them in order to give ourselves a better understanding of the world of Lost.
You know, that's a very well-phrased and well-written question.
Thank you.
And
Zing!
there's going to be a throwdown after this podcast.
Wait till you
I'm
hear
sorry we're not on video.
Wait till you hear the last question I've got for you on the podcast this week, Carlton. You're just going to be thrilled.
Okay. Don't stick that pen in the back of my neck, by the way.
Damn it.
The issue of canon is a very tricky one because obviously our main job is to sort of shepherd and be the stewards of the mothership, and that is I would reconcile the discrepancy by saying that the mothership is true canon. I mean, obviously if it's in the show, by definition it is canon. We try hard to make the other things very much a part of the world of the show, and it just depends, kind of frankly, on how much time and how much influence we have as to whether we can kind of officially designate other things as canon. It's an immense job to run the show, and as well as sort of oversee everything else that's part of the brand. We wrote the Mobisodes, our writers wrote them, we put a lot of time and energy into them, we produced them, our directors directed them, so we felt that those qualified as canon. Same with the Orchid video, which actually will come into play. We also, as we have said before, really feel it's hugely important that people not have to seek out other stuff in order to appreciate or enjoy Lost. But yes, we put the time and effort in so that other people who dig into these ancillary products will find things that are rewarding. And most of Bad Twin is not really particularly relevant to the show, but there's a few things in there that are actually things that have become a big part of the show, like the relationship of the Widmores and Oliver Hanzo, that gets first detailed in Bad Twin. So there are nuggets of things that are canon and things that are not fully canon. And, there are other things where we give a lot of time and attention to them that we kind of will designate as canon. But the truth is, as Damon said, the only thing you really need to follow to really know everything there is to know about Lost is the show.
That being said, the podcast is not in canon,
No.
So you should disregard everything we're saying.
Including what Damon just said, because he was just lying when he said disregard everything he said. That's a lie.
Now this is like those two guys where one always tells the truth and one always lies, and, you have to ask which one is guarding the gate to heaven and hell.
Is that why you have that pen in my neck?
Sorry.
Okay, Damon, here we go.
Yeah.
Here's a few questions, and this is kind of speed question time. Good. This is from Loster Than You, and it's called Lost in Gilligan's Island. Okay. Hi, Damon and Carlton, a few questions. Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Will the Losties ever find the USS Minnow on the island?
No.
Who is the better engineer, Saeed or the Professor?
The Professor.
Would Sawyer prefer Ginger or Marianne if given the choice?
Ginger.
Would he prefer her to Kate?
No.
Would Hurley be amused when the skipper hits Gilligan with his hat, or would we respond with, dude, that's not cool?
Dude, that's not cool.
Who's richer, Hurley or the Howells?
Hurley.
If Gilligan did not join the cast, would Season 2 have ended with Gilligan asleep at the button?
No.
I'm sorry, if Gilligan did join the cast.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Then yes.
Yes, okay. Then Gilligan would have been asleep at the button.
Absolutely.
Did the skipper borrow the minnow from Libby?
Yes. Bingo.
And finally, was the skipper a member of Dharma or another, and did he intentionally shipwreck the minnow?
Was he a member of Dharma or another?
Yes.
Yes. But I won't tell you which.
Okay.
He's one of those.
That was good. There was no beating around the bush. Those were direct answers, and I know that everyone out there appreciates that.
We live in a time and an age, Carlton,
question.
when the public wants answers.
Okay.
They don't have to be factual or true, but they have to be answers. Carlton, this one's from I Love Jack the Most.
I see where this is going.
Question in 3 parts.
Okay.
This is a serious question. I'm not trying to be cutesy here. In The Lost Missing Pieces, which we've now established as canon, the final episode, Christian Shepherd appears on the island and tells Vincent to go wake Jack up. Okay. That's point 1. Point 2, if you adjust the brightness on your TV, in one of the newer episodes, the man in the rocking chair has Christian Shepherd's distinct long forehead and nose. Point 3, back in Season 1, the episode White Rabbit, Jack finds his father's coffin empty. So, where's Jack's dad, and will we see him more in the immediate future?
That is a very observant question. The answer is we will be seeing more of Jack's dad in the future. I think it's a really good question to ponder what exactly is Christian Shepherd's role in the lives of Jack and the other survivors on the island. And it was a good observation also to say that was Christian Shepherd indeed in the cabin.
There you go. I like this
I'm taking the cue.
It's good.
Okay, Damon. Really hope you get to my question. This is from Locke's Wheelchair. Remember, since March 6th, 1 post. I'm desperate to know if we're going to get to see the smoke monster again anytime soon. Really desperate to see it again, as I feel it is so integral to the island. Thanks so much. If you get to this,
the answer to that question is yes.
Okay.
We like to unleash the monster once
it's
a
been
season.
A while. At least once a season.
We have a rule though, and the rule is every time that we show you the monster, that we evolve its mythology a little further, so you learn something about it that you didn't know before. So it's not just a big black smoke thing flying through the air.
Well, Damon's lying again now, and that's not in canon.
Okay. Wait, that I'm lying or that it's on the podcast, which is not in canon.
Exactly.
This is from Matt81881. My second favorite question of the week. I'm saving my favorite for the last question. So here we go. Hi guys. Locke was probably my favorite and the most interesting character in Season 1. He was the miraculously walking, knife-wielding, weather-predicting, crib-building, dog-finding, goofy head-paste-making dude who knew something was special about the island and was determined to find answers. But his actions over the past couple of seasons have made him tougher and tougher to defend to my friends, and especially my wife. Will Locke's actions eventually be redeemed? Will we eventually see that his seemingly strange antics all serve the purpose of discovery of what makes this island so special? His search is one of many things that hooked me on Lost, so here's hoping he and I will be vindicated. Also, Carlton, please stop calling my house to tell me that my automobile warranty is expiring. Thanks.
Well, Terry O'Quinn, thank you for your question.
Awesome.
Locke is a man who is on a journey, and that journey, like many biblical characters, is one that has periods of doubting and of uncertainty.
And frustration.
And frustration.
And the occasional Emmy win.
And the occasional Emmy win, yes,
Right.
exactly. So it is true. Terry O'Quinn has asked us many of those same questions. You know, I think it would be less interesting to see the Locke that was only the Season 1 Locke. I think that the Season 1 Locke is cool and interesting when you get to see the other sides of this character and see him, struggling to find what his purpose is. And there's a lot more about that to come, and I think you will see an energized and activated Locke even as soon as the rest of the season.
I agree. There's always a paradigm in storytelling. Anytime, like in a movie or a television show or a novel, that a priest is the central character, but someone who is a person of faith, it's always telling the story of that they're having a crisis of faith.
Right.
That something has happened in their life that makes them doubt. And then the story is all about how they, again, return back to, oh, now I have a deeper faith. I understand things better. It's not just, I believed in the island because I could walk around. Now it's much more fundamental. But in order to get there, you have to doubt, and you have to throw knives into people's backs and see taller ghost Walt and push a button for a while. All those things are sort of along the way.
This is your spoiler alert. Damon and Carlton will be talking about the video game Via Domos for the next 1 minute and 27 seconds. You have been warned.
All right, here's my question for you, Damon.
I can't wait.
Lost Via Domus ending messed with my head. This is from Kevin Johnson 90.
Right.
Hello, masculine Carlton and Damon. I played through.
Well, I think I'm offended. I think. All right.
I played through the new Lost video game like a fiend, and have a quick question about the ending, which I know Damon was intimately involved with. What on earth happened? Was it all a dream or a Desmond-like consciousness time travel? Thank you so much for answering the question and for the awesome podcasts. P.S. I anxiously await new banjo songs. I've listened to Borderlands so much it's starting to skip. Chris?
You're the one who plays the banjo.
I think we probably should have offered up a little bit of a spoiler warning before that question, considering people probably who have yet to play Lost Via Domus don't want to play it knowing that question is in play. So therefore, I don't want to be too specific about saying what the ending means. All we can say is, it wasn't all a dream. We're not interested in all a dream storytelling. So if something takes on the guise
Only little parts are a dream.
Yes.
Little dreams within something that's not a dream.
Right. You can have dreams on the show, but you won't ever find a character waking up and going,
It was all in a snow globe.
Yes, exactly. That being said, we can confirm that Lost Via Domus is not all a dream, but since it's outside canon, who cares? Moving on. My final question and favorite question of the week from Kananak. Kananak. Does Chris White actually have a job on the show? Or is he just some guy you found one day who you thought would make a good podcast host?
Well, the latter is actually true. We were just actually...
He was selling tangerines at a freeway entrance. And then we said, we heard his mellifluous voice.
We're helping him get his green card now.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's sending a lot of money from these podcasts home to his family in Romania. So for those of you who will have... White is not his real last name. It's
his last name is unpronounceable and actually a curse word.
It rhymes with Ceausescu.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, I have a whole new family history to live up to now.
Yeah, this is why he laughs so hard at all those Politburo jokes.
There he is. All right. Well, I guess that answers that question. Chris actually has a job.
He works at ABC, and he's going to Utah next week on a Disney Channel movie, and I don't know what he does all day, but he does a lot of things over there to help promote, publicize, market, podcast, and extend the reach of the Lost Empire and other Disney products to the far corners of the globe, including Romania, especially Romania.
But his favorite part is Lost, we believe.
So he lets us.
And Hannah Montana.
With that, I think it's time for us to...
We're not going to get any better than that.
Head on out of here and saddle up and ride off to the writer's room, Damon.
Wow. We hope you enjoy...
Can I put the saddle on you?
Would you please? I hope you guys enjoy Ji-yeon.
Yeah. You just like saying that, don't you?
I do.
Ji-yeon.
Ji-yeon.
Okay. Well, I'll trust your Korean
pronunciation.
I'm sure you'll get some...
It's not a Korean word, it's a Korean name.
We'll be back after Kevin Johnson with yet another chapter in the ongoing saga of...
After Kevin Johnson means nothing to these people. What does that even mean, after Kevin Johnson?
That's
you mean
right.
after episode 8, which is entitled Meet Kevin Johnson?
Don't get snippy with me just because I want to put a saddle on your back.
First off, you're digging your spurs into my side unnecessarily. I know when to turn left and when to turn right. Secondly, who the hell is Kevin Johnson?
Kevin Johnson, yes. Well, I think he's an important character. We're going to meet him at the...
I would hope
sometime.
Soon. That's the title of the episode. We're going to be meeting him. And after we have met Kevin Johnson...
If we didn't meet Kevin Johnson, I would think that would surpass Eggtown as probably the most questioned title on the show.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to surpass Eggtown as the most questioned title on the show.
Okay, there's Oates of Colin.
Bye, Carlton.
Bye, Damon.
Oates of Colin.
It's a grain.
That's it for this surprise podcast. As the guy said, we'll be back for more audio podcasting after the episode on March 20th. In the meantime, you can catch all 4 seasons of Lost at our full episode player at abc.com. Lost Ji-yeon airs March 13th at 9 p.m. on ABC and is available the next day at abc.com.